Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Okay, so another Saturday night, and it is the April 11th. Tomorrow is commemoration of Thai New Year, so we have the shrine all very beautifully decorated, and tomorrow will be we'll have a bit of a ceremony online. It's usually a day when the Thai community would gather here, but that's not going to happen. But we will be making it available for on live stream. But in preparation, so we have the shrine set up, and it's very beautiful. It's incredibly pleasing to come into the hall and see the flowers on the shrine. And one of the things that it started to make me think about was just the way that we can, because of course this is a time when, say, we're all in sheltering in place, staying, say, in the monastery. Lay people are staying at home, and there's not the opportunity for going out, engaging, and that can weigh on people. It can be difficult. I mean, besides the kind of the uncertainty of in terms of health, and the uncertainty in terms of the economics of it, just the not having the normal avenues of social contact and engagement. And that can be tough on the mind. And of course, as as monastics, then of course our training has been very much focused on how to develop a continuity of well-being without a lot of social interaction. And, I mean, there is obvious social and communal aspects of monastic living, but there's also a lot of emphasis put on solitude And like there's a discourse that the Buddha gave, and so the 10 subjects for frequent recollection for one who has gone forth. So for a monastic, one of those 10 is, do I delight in solitude or not? And that's it's a question to be asking. And I think it's a helpful question for anybody who is cultivating a spiritual life. Do I delight in solitude or not? What are the things that are, say, uncomfortable about having, say, extended period of solitude, or extended period of less social contact? To be able to contemplate that. But also, I say, one of the things that we certainly develop in monastic practice is also learning how to look after the mind when there is this simplicity and a certain lack of variety of external engagement. And certainly Ajahn Chah, one of and the forest tradition, puts a lot of emphasis on, okay, make sure that your dwelling place is really kept clean, and making it clean, making it neat and tidy, paying attention to those details, because there is a certain element. It's easy to nobody's around, there's nothing to do, things start to get sloppy, or start to not so neat and tidy, not so kind of orderly. And there's a certain orderliness in our life is helpful for keeping the mind sort of fresh, keeping it clean, clear. I can remember Ajahn Chah sort of saying so many times, you don't have to know, have psychic powers to know what somebody else's mind is like. You just go look at their living place, see what kind of order or chaos is happening in their living place, and so that the sense of being a bit diligent in keeping a certain order and cleanliness, and that sense of tidiness, not sort of punctilious to the point of obsession, but there's a nice brightness to the mind when things are clean and clear, looked after well. Having a shrine and looking after it, especially as Buddhist practitioners, having some kind of a shrine, so that we have a place of reverence, or an object of reverence, or an object of devotion. It doesn't have to be fancy. Doesn't have to be as beautifully decorated as this. This is way on the upper percentiles. But but that just having a shrine, having a Buddha image that's inspiring, an object, an image that reminds one of the Buddha, reminds one of, say, the kind of peace that we are seeking. Having picture, and it doesn't have to be a statue, or it can be a picture. I mean, gosh, you can go to Google Images, and there's how many pictures in Google Images. I mean, you can find an inspiring picture. Pictures of one's teachers, images of that are calming, or soothing, or settling, and flowers, fresh flowers might not be available to one, say, in these times, but everybody, if one is plugging into a live stream, then you have a computer, and you have access to images, and you can have pictures of flowers and print it up and make it look really nice. So those are things that one can do to make the space that we live in kind of fresh and uplifting. And so those are physical things that we can be doing to be creating a mood, and especially when we are in circumstances where we have limited options for getting out, and especially in, say, like a modern culture, everybody is incredibly busy, and sometimes we take that busyness. Some of it is there's a certain necessity, but I think that's really. See, sometimes say there's always benefits and drawbacks to everything. So like a global pandemic where all of a sudden everything is screeched to a halt. It's a really great opportunity to be reflecting how much of that busyness that one has assumed is essential, necessary, sort of integral to who we are. How much is that necessary? How much of it is beneficial? And at some point in time, this will change. And what do we just want to go back to our busy, frantic selves as before, or can we exercise the option of making a choice of something that's less frantic, less busy? So taking the time, say not to resent or to be anxious about how can this, when is this going to be over so I can get back to my life, sort of thing. But what can I learn? What skills can I develop? What things are helpful supports? So that paying attention to the physical circumstances that one's in, paying attention to the people that one is with. It's a time of living. For many people, might be a time of living in close quarters, and learning how to be attentive to each other, learning how to be supportive. learning sort of time and place. I remember one of the greatest pieces of advice Ajahn Chah um, giving us one time. It was like, okay, there's something there's some bit of misunderstanding or some conflict, and there's some difficulty between the monks. Okay, that's ordinary. It's important to have some kind of communication and dialogue in order to try to sort it out. Don't do it before the meal. It's like you're hungry, you're not in your best mood, the other person is hungry, they're not in their best mood, not good time. I mean, this is a really simple sort of thing. It's okay. This is a reality. I mean, as human beings, we have, we go up and down, our moods change. And if one's going to try to sort out some difficulty, then, you've just had a nice lunch, and that's a good time to bring it up and find a skillful way to. There's no big rush to fix the other person or get it all sorted out. This is going to require communication on both sides. So these are realizing that these are ways. There's skillful ways of living together with people. There's skillful ways of being on one's own. Do I delight in solitude or not? And reflecting on how can I be just happy and comfortable with myself, and that's a long. That's a work in progress for even for monks. I mean, it's sometimes it takes years to become here. Some people look forward to retreat, and some people kind of dread it. And sometimes even the ones who look forward to retreat, it's sort of like, I can't wait to get in a retreat so I don't have to deal with these other people. There's sort of aversions behind it, rather than delighting in solitude. So there's a program working on the obstacles to well-being and peace and clarity. So it's a work in progress for all of us, and just because we have some difficult state of mind, or where we have a mood of discontent. I mean, it doesn't mean we're a failed Buddhist. I mean, it's another state of mind that we work with and deal with and learn from. So that to be taking this opportunity to learn and paying attention to the external circumstances that one's in, paying attention to trying to create conditions that are supportive and helpful for oneself. As I said, creating a shrine, looking after things neat and tidy, having a certain routine for oneself. I mean, it's helpful. Certainly for us as monastics, and there's keeping a routine. Whether like right now we're in, say half of the monastics are on forest practice, half are coming to the pujas, morning puja, evening puja, and even if for those who are in the forest, it's still, keep a routine going, because it helps to give that continuity of practice. Chores, duties, but time of one's own, sitting meditation, walking meditation, study, those are things that one keeps a certain routine going, because it keeps that continuity. And and paying attention to looking out for each other, as a community, and on a certain level as human beings, we all live in community somehow. We have relationships of family, of friends, of the society and culture around us, and learning how to reach out to others, to look after each other. Today, the person brought, Tina, she brought Debbie back today, and she was talking about a couple like a regular customers of hers who are and she's not, her restaurant's closed, she's not working, I think she's doing a lot of cleaning at her house. Looking, there's a couple, that older couple, and kind of dementia, and so that she's been taking food to them, making sure that they're eating, and then today, I guess it was, yesterday, where she was, they took a car, they went out somewhere or got lost, and then there was a couple, there's all sorts of people, neighbors were trying to make sure that they were okay. A couple taxi drivers were involved in making sure that they were okay, and it's just a really lovely story of human beings helping each other, looking out for each other, and that's how we live within the human realm, is looking after each other, and that in the say in the Pali language, scriptural language, the word for human is manusya, and its derivation is sort of like, say, one with a higher mind. Humans have some possibilities, whereas it's a play within the Thai language, and so that humans have it's their kind of basic birthright of having kind of the opportunity to cultivate a higher mind. And then there's just sort of people who are just kind of born, and they live the different, but we have the opportunity to fulfill that human potential and to live as human beings together. That. Quality of gratitude. It's easy to get stuck in, and the feeling of not having or needing or wanting. Of course, this is the Buddha's put his finger on that point of desire, that desire, that craving, that wanting, that thirst, that always needing something else, as the kind of the central problem of us as human beings, that we feel that we're lacking all the time, and don't have enough, or we have enough, but it's not right. And so there's always, it's just something. So this sense of craving is always behind, and are different feelings. And to say, as practitioners, one of the things to be able to consciously pay it, rather than sort of obsessing or getting caught up in all the things that we don't have, that we think we need, or how it should be, sort of paying attention to what's worthy of gratitude, what's worthy of contentment. So it's a conscious directing of attention. And especially in a time of difficulty like this, a time of global pandemic, one can look at all the things that are wrong or how you'd like it to be, but it leaves one really dissatisfied and out of balance. And it's not so much of a kind of a Pollyanna-ish way of saying, oh, everything's wonderful. Well, it's not all that wonderful. But one doesn't have to make it miserable. And that's a big difference. One can, and you realize actually that's how we live all the time. This is not really any different. The Buddha was very blunt in sort of saying, what you need to be doing is contemplating the reality of birth, aging, sickness, death, loss, separation. Not just once a day, many times a day, because it is a reality that we can ignore, or we can distract ourselves from, or we can find other ways of occupying our mind. But it doesn't really develop a resilience, and it doesn't give us there's the 5 subjects for frequent recollection that the Buddha gives. Of course, there's that I'm of the natured age, I'm the natured sick, I'm the natured dying, all is mine, beloved and pleasing, I'm separated from. But the last one is also around what are we doing? What is our legacy? What are the choices that we make? I'm the owner of my actions, I'm the heir to my actions, I'm born of my actions, abide supported by my actions. All the choices that I make, for good or for ill, I'll be the heir. So that's what choices are we making? What actions are we? What avenues of attention are we going? What route are we going down? So that being careful, conscious, attentive to that. What are we? Where are we putting our attention? What choices are we making? Because that is another reality. We reap the fruits of our actions. Just the nature of human existence is like that. Inevitably, there's, one of the, say, emotions and feelings that can be coming up during times of difficulty and uncertainty like this, is anxiety, fear, and how do we work with that? And I think the willingness to pay attention. This is where, say, like mindfulness of the body is really helpful, because it tends to manifest in the body. We get just that, say, stomach tying in a knot, or a sense of tightness in the shoulders or around the it's like a sort of chest, just sort of feeling it collapsing in. Those are manifestations of fear, anxiety. So that, and of course, there's some things that are that we do need to be certainly careful of, cautious of. We have to give some like a healthy kind of fear. It's like it's I don't. It is. I mean, and say it's appropriate. Like you cross the street. I mean, you look both ways. I mean, it's just, you don't just sort of, okay. So I just need to be mindful of put one foot in front of the other and just keep going. I mean, that's a good way to get run over by a car, and it's foolish. So you say, yeah, that's kind of dangerous. But then there's the kind of say, fear and anxiety where, what if, what am I going and it spins on itself, and it eats away at one, and that is something that one can be alert to and be working with in terms of the, how do I let go of that extra emotional edge, where I'm tightening, where I'm obsessing, where I'm getting just spinning away with this anxiety, because it's or projecting, worrying, and because some things are there just isn't, like, say, for right now, on a certain level, there isn't a solution. One needs to be ready to okay, how do I become steady within this circumstance? And sometimes it's just having a perspective where one isn't, because the mind always comes up with very, it's just like, we really need to worry about this, and I said, well, is that so? And because there's a teaching story a long time ago that I don't think I've used it for a while, but that story of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet going for, they're saying they're out walking in the 100-acre wood, and there it is, and storm is coming up, and there's, it's getting more stronger. The wind is getting stronger. There's sort of leaves and debris is starting to get blown around, and and they're walking in the woods, and of course Piglet is already, he's already fearful of everything already, and then he says to Pooh, 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 what if the wind blows a branch, the branch comes and breaks down and falls on us? And of course Winnie the Pooh sort of thought about it for a bit. He was silent, and he said, what if it didn't? And that, it's just, okay, well, that's it. Yeah, because it can go all sorts of different ways. And it's another option. What if it didn't? What if it didn't turn out to the worst case scenario? That opens up some space. So I think it's with our mind. We need to. How do we open some space up? Certainly, in terms of, say, working with it as in practice, it's like paying attention to what the body is doing, because that, on the mind, sometimes we don't have a whole lot of control, but at least with the body, we can be like just where we tend to tighten up, where we tend to contract in on ourselves, where we get everything seems to close down, and we get the mood is sort of spinning around. Yeah, worry, anxiety, but the feeling is one of contraction. That's where we can just breathing in, breathing out, opening up. Where are we contracting? Where are we feeling that? Shoulders, how do we open the space? How do we open the chest? How do we loosen the stomach? How do we work breathing in, breathing out, letting that feeling of contraction, of tightening, opening the space around it. And you feel the mood lifts with that. And similarly, where there's, just paying attention to what's the feeling in our face. A lot of emotion is expressed in the face. Say worry again, kind of jaw clenching, kind of the tightness around the forehead, around the eyes. Just learning how to, just relaxing the muscles in the face, loosening the feeling in the jaw, feeling that kind of tightening, and just letting it loosen, letting it expand, giving it some space. And you find moods will shift, because they're pretty ephemeral. Those thoughts and feelings are pretty ephemeral, and they're using the body as a touchstone and as a means of helping to work with the different moods and feelings that we have. Because this is body, mind. There's no clear boundary between them, or like there's a discourse where the Buddha talking about the 5 khandhas, say the body, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. These 5 aggregates of being are conjoined. They are not disjoined. They work together. They function together. They're not just all completely separate, like as if the body's one thing and thoughts are another, or a feeling is not. not interacting. These five aggregates of being are they're interacting with each other. They're bouncing off each other, and they're conditioning each other, so that but learning how to pick up the attention with the areas which we can be attentive to, mindful of, bringing awareness to, and letting it open, that kind of alertness, an openness, a certain spaciousness that comes with awareness, but then also having a vehicle to be able to hold it, in that sense of the body. How are we holding our body? How can we work with that so that it also affects the moods of the mind? So that learning how to work with the environment, the circumstances that we're in, the places we're living in, learning to work with this body, this mind. And these are trying times for everybody, but it's also hopefully it'll be a time where one can look back and say, yeah, that was difficult, but I learned a lot during that time. And it's worth giving that opportunity to oneself. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.
Andamayang Dhammakatthaya Satu Galam Dadamase Satu